Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Fight fans worldwide, you've tuned into the #1 undisputed boxing podcast today. This is the Boxing Breakdown. Now, your heavy-handed, hard-hitting host, Mark Roxey.
Oh yeah, what's up, what's up, what's up? I am your host. What's up, people? This is your host, Mark Roxey, and welcome to another edition of the Boxing Breakdown. Pumped up to be with you today and excited for this episode. We have so much to report on. We are going to get into, okay, y'all get ready. We are going to get into the Shakur Stevenson versus Jamel Herring fight. It's coming up. And we've got the Saul Canelo Alvarez versus the Caleb Plant event. I am on pins and needles for that one. And then we are going to chop up a little bit of post-fight news and updates on Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder and some of the hubbubaloo around that event. And then finally, we are going to sadly discuss the recent Mikey Garcia upset fight against Sandur. And yeah, man, we've got a loaded episode for you guys. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is bring in my very, very good friend, Mr. Harold Hunt. What's up, what's up, what's up?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, man, what's going on, partner in crime?
Man, boxing is hot, hot, hot. We got a lot to talk about.
Oh, you got that right, bro. We got tons and tons and tons of stuff to talk about. So without further ado, man, let's get into the Shakur Stevenson and Jamel Herring upcoming fight. Let's talk about that. What you got?
That is going to be a great fight. What's crazy about this fight, those guys are actually friends. I mean, real friends. The kind of friends where you go to their house and have chicken, kiss the baby, all of that.
Those are the worst kinds of fights, Harold.
But the moment you interject that money, that belt, and that pride, and that machoism, all that goes out the window.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, it's gotten to a point where they possibly may not renew their friendship after this fight.
Right. Only
because Shakur is acting as if he was always the superior fighter.
Right.
Even when he was at the lower weight. And because of that, that's kind of caused a little a feeling response from Mr. Herring. So if you dive into the strategy of the fight, there's a lot to chew on.
Yeah, you got that right. I just had his name spelled wrong. It's Shakur, not Shakur. Sorry about that, Shakur. Yeah, bro, we corrected it right here. You can see below. Yo, I don't miss a trick, bro. So this is a WBO World Super featherweight title, Harold. This is a big fight for Shakur.
Yes. It's a big fight for him. He's coming up, of course. However, the style is what makes it interesting. Shakur Stevenson does not fight on the inside whatsoever.
Right.
He does not work in there at all.
Yeah.
Herring, that is his thing. He's going to do that. Now, as we know, a fighter who goes to the body, he's willing to take a few to get in there to deliver. We have to see how Stevenson can keep him off of him and move and still win the fight. Now, the rap on Shakur is he's not necessarily the most beautiful fighter. It's not fun to watch or whatever. He wins on points. Now, for the purists out there, he's beautiful. He can jab, move, score points, knock you hit. The other fans who like the rock him, sock him, knock him down, take a punch, give a punch, he's not necessarily someone who they may want to just enjoy.
Right.
This time he's going to be forced.
Yeah.
to either have that game or not.
Yeah.
So they touted him to be the next Ray Leonard, to make sure Ray Robinson,
Right.
not get hit, win, all this. He was born for this, that, and the other. Well, this fight right here, we're going to see, because Herring is coming. Herring is a Marine.
Yes.
Once you've been in that discipline as a soldier, they brainwash you to a point. You are brainwashed, and you keep that the rest of your life.
Right.
So therefore, he's going to bear in and be in and he has a backstory. His daughter passed as a very young child, so he's got that motivation. He's got the built-in military type mindset.
Right.
And he's not happy with Mr. Stevenson right now because he has violated their friendship too far. You can build the fight up, but you don't need to be trying to grab my belt during the press conferences. You don't need to be saying things and doing things of that manner. So the whole piece is going to be something to see.
Yeah, man. So, okay. So let's bring our listeners into this conversation. Okay, Harold, because I want them to understand who we're talking about and just a little bit of background on these two fighters. If you follow boxing, if you're a diehard boxing fan, you know who Shakur Stevenson and Jamel Herring is. If you are a casual, you may not really know in depth about these guys. Both of them have a very strong amateur pedigree. They both have a lot of experience in the ring. And so let's start with the current challenger, I guess you would say, which is Shakur Stevenson. He's 16-0 with 8 KOs. So eight of his 16 wins have come by way of knockout. He's got a 50% knockout ratio, which is something you probably wouldn't think of for a guy that fights the way he fights. But he's solid. He currently resides in Alexandria, Virginia. He is from Newark, New Jersey, holler, which is my stomping grounds, meaning not Newark, but New Jersey and all over New Jersey. And yeah, man, I've watched him come up through the amateurs. I've seen him as a young amateur fighter, novice class, open class, and then of course, his upward trajectory into the Olympics, etc., to the regionals, nationals, and then into the Olympics. And he's just an outstanding kid. He's a wonderful role model for boxing locally. A lot of the kids in New Jersey and a lot of the kids in and around the region really look up to him. He does a lot for the community and he loves his Newark. Great guy, right? But back to his record, he's promoted by Top Rank, I'm pretty sure, and he's about 5'7". I think he's got a reach of 68 or so, and he's just he's ranked number 2 in the U.S. and 5 in the world, according to BoxRec, which, obviously is an official ranking. There's other rankings that you would go by, but just for reference for those newbies out there that are listening in on the program. And then you have Jamel Herring, who's 23-2. So he's got a record of 23 wins, 2 losses, one of those losses coming by way of knockout. And he hails from Cincinnati, Ohio. Solid fighter, super featherweight. Both of them have spent much of their time in the super featherweight division. Jamel Herring is currently, he's currently holding the WBO, right? So this is a very, very good fight. If you are a boxing fan, you're going to love this fight. I will say that, Shakur has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. He's a very, very skillful fighter. I just think that if we really talk about, how we think the fight's going to play out, what would you say, Harold? How do you think the fight's going to actually play itself out?
Well, for the casuals, I want to say this is what you look for. When you turn on this weekend, this is what you look for. Shakur Stevenson loves to fight on the outside. That's all he's going to try to do. He's not going to stand inside. What you're going to see here is a bull and a matador. We got to see if the matador to keep the bull off.
Right.
And that is what you want to look for initially. Just keep your eye on that. Now, Herring is going to come forward. They both have, as you said, the pedigree. They both did the Olympics. So you're going to see high-level stuff. You're not going to see elbows thrown or unnecessary clinches, or you're not going to see a sloppy fight. You're going to see a technical fight. However, the technicality goes out the window because Herring is going to be coming in and forcing Shakur Stevenson to fight on the inside, which is not what he does.
Right.
So what you're going to see is a lot of angles, movement. You're going to see Herring trying to cut the ring off, and you're going to see all this in the very first round. Then it's going to develop from there. There won't be any feeling out or anything like that. They're going to go right to their strategy.
Right.
So if the casuals, just look for that, and you will be entertained because you know what each fighter is trying to do. As for the purists that we have, you guys already know what's going to happen. What can happen? Shakur got to fire off his back foot. He's got to try to drop that right hand, slow Herring down. Herring's got to get around that. That left hand. He's left-handed. He got to get around that left hand. And Herring got to get in there and score. So it's going to be a good fight. And these are the kind of fights that maybe not get a lot of promotion and a lot of buzz, but in the boxing community, we know this is a quality fight on both sides of the ring. Yeah,
no, I definitely agree. I think it's a wonderful fight to watch. If you love boxing, it's going to be a very technically fought fight. I think you're right. I do think it's more of a case of a bull and the matador working with each other. I think Shakur has fought a lot of fighters similar to Jamel Herring, and stylistically. So I think for him, it's a very predictable fight. I don't think there's much about the fight that he doesn't know how to deal with. I think a lot of the things that Jamel Herring will be doing, Shakur has seen in the last 16 fights he's had. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what Jamel Herring has up his sleeve as to whether or not, what the game plan actually is, because I can tell you one of the things that I thought about pretty intensely about this fight is that Shakur, you see, when Jamel Herring steps up to the mark, when Jamel Herring steps close, when he gets close in range, Shakur Stevenson has very, very fast hand speed. His hand speed is like, he still brought that amateur hand speed with him. It's not like he lost his amateur hand speed. And what I mean by that is, pros tend to be a little slower. The hand speed is not always the focus. It's more about the power. But Shakur's managed to figure out a way to keep the speed and deliver the power, which is what I believe makes him really a special fighter. He does have timing. He does have a command over distance. I think that is the biggest attribute that he has in how to control his distance in this fight, right? If he can maintain his distance and control that distance, he's going to have his way with Jamel Herring. If Jamel Herring is able to control the distance and make Shakur very uncomfortable, it's going to have to bring shades of Shakur Stevenson that we haven't seen before, which is, as you indicated before, he doesn't like to fight on the inside, which may or may not be true, because I think he can go on the inside. I mean, what I know of Shakur, he can go on the inside. It's just that he's not using those tools because those tools have not been necessary to thus far. So does he use those tools? That's a good question, Harold.
Well, yes, you would know if the tools are there. True. However, he could have applied those tools in some of his pro fights, so he would have more knockouts, so he would be more appealing, so he could have more a buzz in the boxing world. So that leads me to believe, yes, he may have them. He should have incorporated them more And that makes me feel like he may be uncomfortable with those skills. Yes, they are. Yes, they're pliable on the circuit, on the amateur circuit, but maybe not on the pro circuit.
Right.
So no doubt he may have them, but he's never used them on the pro circuit when he could use them to shorten the fight, to create more buzz for himself, and add more knockouts.
Yeah.
So I just would like to see him apply it in a situation where he really can use it. Yes, he can move. Yes, he has good hand speed. But if you got hand speed on the interior, I mean, you can really chop that body up. And then when you step back outside, that opponent is already worried about the body shots, and you can really pick him off really well. So hopefully he'll go ahead and he'll use that skill set that you say he does have. I have yet to see it.
Right. No, I get it. And, it's going to be an interesting fight. He does have the hand speed. And the other thing that he has, I can speak about this guy because I've been watching him for quite a long time, right? So, he has, his punches are very, very direct. They're very straight, linear punches. He also knows how to use the left hand to the body. He oftentimes, if you watch his fights, he'll lift his opponent up with the jab. I was just talking to someone in the gym this evening, prior to this podcast. I was just in the gym with one of the fighters, and we were just talking about the technique of lifting a guy up with your jab and stabbing to the body. Dropping the right hand or the left hand. In Shakur's case, to the body. And the one thing that Shakur has really mastered is figured out how to use that jab to disable his opponent, lift him up, and stab him with that straight left hand to the body. It's a really, really great shot, and it really frustrates a lot of fighters. I've seen Andre Ward use that as well. I've seen a lot of really good fighters, conventional and southpaw, use that skill. Mayweather uses it as well. And Shakur has picked it up and he uses it, and it's a very, very good tool. It'll have a big impact in this fight on the outside because he will use that to lift his opponent up and stab him to the body. However, when the opponent walks past the mark and the opponent gets into firing range, you will see Shakur's hand speed. You will see him throw 3-4 punch combinations that land, that are very accurate punches. And what you're going to have from a very powerful and aggressive Jamel Herring is you're going to have a guy who's coming forward. He's coming forward, Harold. He's not going back. He's going to be in Shakur's face the entire fight. And so if in fact that's the game plan he uses, we expect him to do that, as if we know. We don't really know, but what we do know is that, past fights are a good indication of how the guy is going to fight going forward. And Jamel Herring is a Marine, and he is a tough fighter, and he will be able to withstand the pocket if he gets close enough. So some other factors that go into this, Harold: large ring, small ring, fast ring, slow ring. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I know if the canvas is soft, it's going to slow Mr. Stevenson down pretty much. Yeah. So, Mark, I wish we could go and check that and check that ring, Matt.
Yeah.
And you could lay on those ropes and see if those ropes are set up so he can bounce off those ropes, or those ropes set up so he can sit on those ropes. We just don't know. So those two factors, as you know, they do play something into that. So I'm thinking it's going to be a hard ring. I mean, the mat's going to be a hard mat so he can move. That's what I'm thinking. As far as the size, I miss what the size could be. But Herring's going to try to cut him off and not allow him to use all of that ring. And Herring has good hand speed. He's not slow.
Right.
He has good footwork also. And he mentally can bear down and stick with the game plan and not be deterred from it.
Right.
Even if he's losing. A lot of fighters, they'll change game plan 2 or 3 times because they're losing because mentally sometimes they don't stick to it and they want to try another situation.
Yeah.
He will not. He will not. And if he sees any success in his initial game plan, he's going to stick to it to the end.
Right.
And he's the champion. So mentally, as you know, Mark, you got a 20% better thought process. You feel like you can't be beat, that type of thing. So it's so many factors.
Yeah.
That's gonna play. And hey, we got the puncher's glove. We got the soft glove. We got the raised is the puncher's glove. We don't know what gloves were chosen. Which ones are conducive to Herring. Probably the puncher gloves. The other ones are conducive to Shakur because he wants to be able to jab, keep his hand in a situation we can jab in a constant situation. Doesn't want to have to knuckle up too much to throw it to the body because that's not what he does.
Right.
In my opinion. So there's so many factors that are just on the fringe that we don't know that could help the outcome of this fight. Yeah,
man. No, I know. Well, it's going to be a really, really interesting fight. There are two southpaws. So what happens there?
Was it you that said the worst fight for a southpaw to fight is what? Another southpaw?
Dude, you don't even know. Listen, the worst, there are exceptions to this rule, Harold. Okay, there are exceptions, just so you know. But the only thing that's worse than fighting a southpaw is having a southpaw fight another southpaw. Because it always makes for I don't know. It's a complicated kind of fight. Some southpaws are really good at it. They pick it up pretty good. It's like two right-handed fighters fighting, two orthodox fighters squaring off. But the difference is that southpaws don't see tons of other southpaws. In Shakur's case, it probably doesn't matter because in Shakur's case, right, Shakur has like the creme de la creme as far as sparring partners. So it's not like he's at a shortage of sparring partners. He's got his pick. I'm sure Top Rank brings in some quality opponents for him. I know a couple of the guys that are in sparring with him. So it's not like he doesn't have a good selection of fighters out west. He is in Las Vegas. He's based in Las Vegas. So if you know anything about Las Vegas, there's some great fighters out there. There's a lot of fighters out west, out in California and such that he's got in his weight class, the lower weight class. He's got a lot of fighters to pick from down in the 25, 30, 35, 40 pound range. Like all of that is fair game in sparring, for him, depending on what weight, where he is at his weight and stuff. I'm sure they move him with smaller guys, bigger guys, everything in between. And he's got a good team.
Yes, he gets pushed in sparring all the time. But another asset, Mark, I will say is, as I watch him fight, his hand speed allows him to switch easily. His hand speed allows him to block those punches if he's in the other stance, and he does switch back and forth. So
when you say he, who are you talking about?
Oh, Mr. Stevenson.
Okay, he
has the hand speed to correct himself if he's misaligned. If he's fighting right-handed for a moment, he has the hand speed and the foot speed to kind of get out the way or move, so he doesn't have to necessarily sit in that stance. Yeah. But Mark, just to the point you're talking about, southpaws are used to having that advantage over a right-hand fighter. They're used to that, so they're constantly, they know what their advantage is when they fight a right-handed fighter, and they play to that. But when they fight another left-handed fighter, that advantage that they have over a right-handed fighter is not there. It's a complete different look. And I agree with what you're saying. It's going to be interesting for both of them.
Right. So, Harold, for the listeners out there that are listening to this episode, I want to clarify something. There's two kinds of advantages that you can have when you're a southpaw. Okay? And the advantage that I really want to talk about is the experience advantage. A southpaw doesn't have any more advantage over a right-handed fighter when the experience is at the same level. Usually what happens is southpaws, because as southpaws are getting stronger, when they fight a right-handed fighter who is less skilled, knowledgeable, and has less experience, you have an experience advantage because you've seen that angle more than someone who is a right-handed fighter. However, when two fighters, whether they're southpaw and southpaw or southpaw orthodox, it doesn't really matter once you have the experience, because the advantage isn't in stance. The advantage is in experience. Does that make sense, Harold? It's not.
Yes.
It's not
Pacquiao and Floyd.
Right. Perfect example. It's not about
no headbutt, no stepping on the foot, none of that.
No, because because they both have experience fighting one another. That's the same style, meaning the same stance. So there's no advantage really. I mean, guys, two guys have hands, two hands. Hand. So you move your hands. I don't really think there's too much. It's more about an experience advantage. So when you have an experience of having that right-handed fighter in front of you more, and they don't have the experience of seeing a southpaw, then you have an advantage. And
you have the headbutts and that type of thing because someone is less experienced in that stance than the other. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know about if it equates to headbutts necessarily, Harold. I think it equates to simply, you've seen this road before. I haven't been down this road before, so you can drive better than I can because you've been down this road before. It's that simple. It's not about, sometimes, when you have both fighters have the lead legs close to each other in the same line, then of course you're going to trip. The tripping and the headbutts have to do with two guys clashing, coming forward with their heads and not keeping their heads out of the pocket. That's what the headbutts, or one guy jumping in, throwing a combination, and the other guy, he thought the guy was going to move back and he moved forward, or they're exchanging on the inside and they just clip each other with the head, or an elbow catches, or headbutts come from all different kinds of reasons. But I was really just referring to the advantage. There is no advantage for either one of these fighters if they are used to seeing southpaws. They are southpaws, but if they're used to seeing southpaws, then there's no advantage. There's no advantage there. Glove size doesn't really matter because any one of those touches, one punch touches you correctly, you're going down. I don't care which one of the guys. The glove size doesn't really matter. I mean, unless they cut out the knuckles or, they do something fancy with the gloves where
the horsehair, how they pack the horsehair?
Yeah, they do. Well, listen, okay, here's another thing. You got to know this is true, okay? There are different ways to make gloves. Each glove manufacturer customizes gloves differently. So,
yes.
You have to have those gloves really checked by the commission. You have to look at those gloves, put your hands in there and really at this level, because let me tell you, I know I'm not naming any glove manufacturers because I have great relationships with some of these glove manufacturers. Y'all know who you are. All right. For example, Everlast, the best gloves you can get, right? Shout out Everlast, right? Who supports you, because you guys support us all the time. Thank you, Everlast, for being in our corner all the time. Whenever we need gloves or rings or bags or anything we need, you're always there for us. And we really, really appreciate that. But I will tell you, there are glove manufacturers out there that make their gloves, Harold, like when they put the padding on the inside of the glove, maybe the two knuckles that are over here are a little less padded than the knuckles over here. There's all kinds of stuff they can do to those gloves, bro. And so, so we're not talking about that because I'm sure the commissioner looked at the gloves. They already have the gloves. The gloves are going to be there. Everybody's going to check the gloves. Everybody's going to check the hand wraps. There's no advantage there. All right. The advantage comes with who can manage distance the best, who can manage timing the best, and who can manage the rhythm the best, right? Who wants to win more? Who wants to win more? The matador doesn't always want to win. Sometimes the matador just doesn't want to get poked. Okay? So the question, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes it depends on how the matador, is the matador going in for the kill? Is the matador trying, to get the bull right underneath? Or what's happening? So we have to wait until, by the way, October 23rd at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch the fight. It is a top-ranked promoted fight. You can watch it on ESPN, and you can watch it on Fight TV. It's on ESPN Plus. I guess it's live streamed on Fight TV and ESPN Plus. It's also listed as being on ESPN. Check your local listings for where the fight is, but it is happening on October 23rd, and it is going to be an amazing fight for the purists out there. Y'all, I don't have to tell you because you already know. You already know what's happening in this fight. I will tell you that you should look at combination punching from Shakur. You should look at, body shots. He's got a mean rear body shot, which, people call them different things, right? It's like a shovel body shot, shovel uppercut, like I call it a 4. For him, it'd be a 4 to the body, which is basically the rear hand to the body, right into the belly, right into the belly or into the liver. Watch for that shot because that's a shot. Straight left hand to the body. That's going to be another shot. You watch him lift his opponent up with the jab, pop his jab up, strike him to the sternum, strike him to the abdomen. That's going to be a major fight. You got to watch the hook. I mean, Shakur's his straight left hand is on point. He's got a lot of tools in there. Plus, he's got a command over his footwork. So I'm obviously you can tell, I do not favor either one of these fighters. I really don't have, I'm not speaking from the point of view of favoritism. I'm speaking from the point of view of skills pay bills. That's it.
Mark, see, it's great for the listeners to hear your aspect being a trainer, because on my side, what I see, I don't factor that in because I am basically just a casual who thinks or understands a little more. So when I hear your estimation on these things, that is what we need to learn. I need to hear that and understand that. And along with other people who are on par with me, we need to hear that. And that's what makes your situation popular. However, you're not giving Herring any love. I don't hear a breakdown on Herring skills whatsoever from you. I know you know.
Well,
so
I was leaving that. I was leaving that to you. I was leaving that to you so you could really break down Herring.
Casual.
All right. Okay, Harold. Now you're a casual. Right now you want to be a casual, bro. Listen, you are not a casual. This is what I'm going to tell you. Herring is not a joke, okay? This is a tough fight for Shakur. It's not a walk in the park for Shakur by any means, okay? So here we go. Jamel Herring is a solid fighter. He's a come forward fighter. He's not going to lose. First of all, you have to beat him. Okay. He is the champion. Let's remember. He is the champion. They're just going to give him the belt, give Shakur a belt. Shakur's got to fight. That's why I said what I said. Shakur can't come in there and try to be, a matador, looking not to get poked. Shakur's got to get in there and he's got to mix it up with Jamel Herring. And that's going to be a little bit of a problem because Jamel Herring is going to give him a better fight than the fans have no idea how good this fight is going to be. And Jamel Herring he's got all the tools and all the skills to beat Shakur Stevenson. Let's
speak to his strength. Let's speak to Herring's strength right now.
Okay.
We know Herring's strength is he will get in the pocket. He doesn't square up. He'll give you half a body to hit. and he's going to work the body. So that is the skill set that I see that he's going to have to incorporate in this fight.
Yeah.
He's not going to square up so Shakur can have a field day on the target. He's going to come in he's going to come inside, he's going to come in half body, and he's going to go into the body, and he's going to try to stay in the pocket. That's what I'm looking for him to do. That's his, and from what I see, that's his skill set, his main weapon.
Yeah. No. I think you're absolutely right. And I think, if you're going to look at experience and skill levels, who's got more experience being in the lion's den, being inside Hell's Kitchen? Who's got more experience?
I would say Herring.
Exactly. So Herring, and he's also, Herring has got the tools on the inside. He's got the tools at distance to really make this a tough fight for Shakur. So the question is, does he do that? Is his game plan to use those attributes and use those skills that he so possesses in the fight? Or is he gonna have a different game plan to work on the outside, stick and move? I mean, I don't know what their game plans are. As a trainer and as a, I have no idea what to expect. Not at all. Like, I just don't know what to expect from these guys. I think that what I can tell you is it's going to be an amazing fight, which I will not miss this fight. And again, it's on ESPN Fight TV, October 23rd at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Top Rank. You are very welcome for us plugging your fight. Oh, really? We were hoping that we were going to get our press passes for this fight, and Harold was planning on being there to do some pre and post interviews with Shakur and Jamel Herring, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out, Top Rank, that we would get our press packets, and unfortunately, we will not be making the fight live. And I'm very unfortunate to report that, and I'm sorry to report that you, Harold, will not be able to make it to the fight because they don't have any more access. So I don't know what that's about, but hey, Top Rank, why don't you hit us up and let us know what that's about? Because we wanted to be at the fight, and Harold wanted to be there so that we can get some interviews with Shakur. And by the way, just so you know, we'll probably have Shakur on the Shakur, and maybe we can get Jamel Herring on the episode as well. We can chop it up after the fight is over. But Shakur, we will be reaching out to you to get you on the program. So look for it, brother, because we definitely need you here, and Jamel Herring as well. So yeah, that's what's up. I know. Harold's like, yo, did I just lay it on thick for Top Rank?
Yes, you did. You were like on it.
Bob Arum, if you are listening in, we are not happy right now because we wanted our press pass, we wanted our credentials. Okay.
Well, there'll be other top rank fights going forward, Mark. So we still need to be cordial to Mr. Arum at this point. Well,
Bob Arum understands our plight. You understand that we are covering the fights and that we wanted to be there with you to cover your fighters. So I know that you know that, and I know that next time we'll have our credentials.
I'm sure
way ahead of time, right? Yes, I know some other promoters and some colleagues of mine that are going to be there. They got their press credentials. They're going to be there. And they asked me, "Oh, are you going to be there?" And I was like, nah, I didn't get my credentials in time. And so, I don't think I'm going to be there. Like egg on my face. But I was asked, just so you know. Anyway, let's move on. Can we move on?
Please. Got some good stuff left.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about, bro. Let's get into the Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant, WBC, WBA, WBO, IBF super middleweight title on the line. All the marbles, brother. All the marbles, Harold.
Yes.
Yeah, man, this fight is going down. It is happening. Let's see if I can pull up my little graphic. And again, You know, this is another example of how amazing the Boxing Breakdown is, that we would take our time, right? We would take our time to, let's see if I can get this right.
Now, Mr. Plant has provided us with the mental warfare, and he's done really well with it. He's said some things and done some things that are well planned out, well thought out, just placed properly in an effort to get into Canelo's head.
Yeah. Yo,
And
Harold.
Harold,
Harold, Harold, check it out. Okay, let's just make sure that the listeners that are listening on Apple Podcast and Google Podcast and wherever you get your podcasts, even if it's Alexa, check it out. Okay, the fight between Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant is Saturday, November 6th on Showtime pay-per-view at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Do not miss it. Make sure you get your pay-per-view seat or get into the venue and check out Caleb Plant versus Saul Canelo Alvarez. This is for, as I said before, the WBC, WBA, WBO, IBF super middleweight titles. And it is going to be, I think this might be my fight of the year. Just saying, Harold. Okay?
it's historical. It's a historical fight.
Talk to me.
First person to unify this particular weight class. So when you order the fight or go to the fight, you will be a part of history.
Yeah,
so
bro.
Please patronize this fight.
Yeah, man. I mean, why would you not? If you're a boxing fan, first of all, I don't think anybody's going to miss this fight. Do you?
Well, I wouldn't at all. It's going to be just a really good tactical fight. We're going to see if someone can be worn down or someone can put out their game plan. There's a whole lot going on with the whole piece of the fight. So we can just go into it, but there's so much going on with that fight that it's just a lot to talk about. And as I was just saying earlier, you have the mental warfare in a fight like this that has to be applied. And certain people are really good at it. Floyd was good at it. Ali was good at it. Vinny Panzienza, he was great at it. So a lot of them know how to get into that head initially, and then in the ring, it just adds to it, as to the game plan.
Yeah.
If the other fighter was receptive and played into it.
Yeah. No, I mean, this fight, look, let's talk about this fight, okay? So let's talk about Caleb Plant. Okay. Caleb Plant is 21-0. 12 of his wins have come by way of big knockout. Okay. Caleb Plant is originally from Nashville, Tennessee. I think he's in
he's in Vegas now.
Yeah, I think he lives in Vegas. That's right. And he's an orthodox fighter. He's pretty tall, man. He's 6'1" for a super middleweight. That's pretty nice that you have that height, right? So he's 6'1". And yeah, man, he's solid. His knockout ratio is almost 60%. It's like 58%, somewhere in there. And yeah, he started his debut. I think his pro debut was 2014, right? In May of 2014. He spent his life boxing. He's been boxing since he was 5 years old. I think as far as how long someone's been boxing, he may have been boxing a little bit longer than Saul Canelo Alvarez. Totally, meaning if you were in totality, he might have been boxing a little longer. I'm not sure. You'd have to check that out. But
they've both been boxing since they were children.
Yeah, man. Yeah, but and so Saul Canelo Alvarez is yo, bro. He's 50. So actually, before I say that, Caleb Plant is 29 years old. Right? 29. So Canelo Alvarez is 31 years old. So they're close to age. Saul Canelo Alvarez is 56 and won with 2 draws. 38 of his wins have come by way of knockout, right? This guy has a 65% KO knockout ratio. Okay, 65%, people. So he's been knocking folks out. As far as quality opposition, you know, I can't even begin to tell you all of the guys that Canelo Alvarez has faced. As far as Caleb Plant, I would not classify the folks that he's fought. While I'm sure they have been very, very tough fights and very, very good boxers, the resume of the two is completely different. You know, it's just a complete, it's a completely different resume. I think this is a big step up for Caleb Plant. I definitely think that Caleb Plant is a great fighter. He has lots of skills, but I don't personally, I don't see how this fight is winnable for him. And yeah.
No, please go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it's hard for me to see how he's going to come out with the victory. I really would like to see him do it. I'd like to see how he and his team have prepared to win this fight. As a trainer, you know, for me, it's really interesting to watch the kind of game plan that he's going to put together is one that we can all, as trainers and as folks in the boxing industry, we can learn to see how, you know, Caleb Plant and his team will put together a game plan that could potentially upset Canelo Alvarez. But I think some of the issues that I'm grappling with about his ability to do that is that he doesn't have the kind of punch power that Canelo possesses. And I think that when he tries to use his punch combinations, which, by the way, are fabulous, when he tries to use those punch combinations against a game-eager, aggressive Canelo Alvarez, if those punches do not do the damage that they're supposed to do, you know, in the initial strikes, he's going to have a very, very long night or a very sleepy, short night.
Well, I see exactly that. I see maybe 7-8 rounds where he'll give his very best, and he's simply just going to be kind of overwhelmed by the skill set and the power. And he's going to hit Canelo very cleanly with some of his best shots, and it's not going to deter Canelo. And that should happen later on in the fight. But the first 5-6 rounds should be very give and take, technical, nice to watch, but eventually he'll just be overwhelmed. And once you get overwhelmed by Canelo, he won't, in my opinion, be knocked out where the ref's going to count 10, say you're out. I think it'll be a TKO in which he'll be taking so many punches in succession that the ref will stop it. But up until that point, I see a really good technical fight, something that's going to be enjoyable. And we have to see Canelo adjust to someone who has that kind of skill set, because the past two people he fought didn't have quite a skill set that he's faced with. So he may relish the opportunity to see if he can outbox and then bang out Mr. Plant.
Right. No, man, I just don't. It's just a hard thing for me to look at Canelo Alvarez's resume and think that anything less is going to happen. Like,
Shane Mosley. Who else?
Gosh, Harold.
Cotto.
Yo, listen, Alfonso Gomez, who, by the way, ended Arturo Gotti's career. I was at that fight where Arturo Gotti, retired, the day that he retired at the Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City.
I remember that fight.
Yeah, man. I got very emotional about that fight. because I was very
And you
hard to
should.
watch. Yeah, it was a very hard fight to watch, to see Arturo Gatti kind of just sit down in the corner and just be like, I'm done. It's I'll never forget that day, but anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about is the fact that, Canelo has faced Alfonso Gomez, Kermit Citron, by the way, in Kermit Citron's, when Kermit Citron was a 154-pound monster, which
he was a wrestler. He was a wrestler, and he brought that style, and that's why he's a monster. Go ahead with the names on the on his resume.
Well, Kermit Citron was also trained by Marshall Kaufman for a while, Marshall Kaufman of King's Promotions. But anyway, Shane Mosley, Josecito Lopez, Austin Trout, when Austin Trout, as far as I'm concerned, was a technical master. Floyd Mayweather Jr., which, by the way, is one of his losses, right? He lost against Floyd Mayweather Jr., which actually I believe was probably the beginning of Canelo really learning that experience, that time that he had in that fight. I think that fight went the distance. It went 12 rounds, right? And, he won that fight. And that was an amazing night. It was also at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. And since then, he's fought, Alfredo Angulo, Arislandi Lara, James Kirkland, which, by the way, is one of the most, it's on his highlight reel, bro. I watch that over and over again, because every time you hear anything about Canelo, he puts that damn knockout on his knockout reel, bro. It's got to be one of the top 10 knockouts ever. I mean, that was, and then so then you get the James Kirkland, you got Miguel Cotto. He got a 12-round unanimous decision with Miguel Cotto, knocked out James Kirkland, KO'd Alfredo Angulo, who, by the way, is very, very, come forward, aggressive fighter as well. Miguel Cotto, Amir Khan. Oh, he laid out Amir Khan, bro. He laid out Amir Khan in 6 of 12. He got him at the 6th round. And he put Amir Khan on his back, and no disrespect to Amir Khan, great fighter, steps up and fights Liam Smith, KOs Liam Smith, fights Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right? Takes a 12-round unanimous decision with.
And he carried him a little bit at the end. For his countrymen, I like to
well,
believe.
That's arguable. That's speculative, but yes.
Yes. It is. I say that.
Yeah, definitely. But he fought him at 164 pounds, upward 164 pounds. Then he faces Gennady Golovkin. He gets a draw with Gennady Golovkin. Fights Gennady Golovkin the next time. He beats Gennady Golovkin. He wins. That fight goes 12 of 12. That was a tough fight. I still would love to see those two fight again. I just don't know that Gennady Golovkin has the skill anymore that he once had.
It'll be a blowout this time.
Mm-hmm. Rocky Fielding, Daniel Jacobs. I mean, dude, listen.
That was a good fight.
Yeah.
That was a good fight.
Rocky Fielding, Daniel Jacobs in Daniel Jacobs' prime. Sergey Kovalev, he fought Sergey Kovalev, by the way, at 175 pounds. Canelo, did.
That was a great fight. Canelo, about that one, Mark.
Yo, Canelo, bro. Fight. Listen, I'm doing this not in any disrespect to Caleb Plant. This is not a one-sided podcast here. We are not glorifying Canelo. We are just paying respects to his record and to what we're reading and what we're seeing about him, okay? And then he fights Kovalev at 175 pounds. Who does that? And then he fights, he steps up and he fights Callum Smith at 168. He fights Yildirim. Remember that fight with Yildirim? We have actually covered that fight. And he beat I think he beat him in the 3rd round. He stopped him in the 3rd round. That was at the Hard Rock Cafe in Miami. And then he fought Billy Joe Saunders again. What did he do to Joe Saunders? He broke his orbital bone, bro, in the 8th round. In the 8th round of that fight, and Billy Joe was like, you don't know who you're getting in the ring with. He broke his orbital bone.
Stood in there too long and caught something that he didn't see coming.
Listen, Harold, man, Canelo has a very, very amazing record. It's a beautiful record. He's hailed as one of the great fighters already, great fighters of Mexico. He comes out of Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, and he's squaring off against a game tough opponent. I know that everybody at this point, it's old news now. What happened at the press conference was pretty surreal, where Caleb Plant and Canelo had some choice words, and Canelo ends up pushing him. Caleb Plant steps back up to the pocket to throw a hook. Canelo pulls back and throws his own punch, knocks the glasses off of Caleb Plant, and in the process of doing that, draws blood and gets a cut right underneath his eye. Did I describe that right, Harold?
Yes.
Yeah, man. But ever since that took place, man, these guys have not had any love at all for one another. They are looking to do damage. And, as far as Caleb Plant is concerned, he's a quality fighter. He's coming to this fight. There's been a lot of discussion about Caleb Plant's, his personal life and his family life and his daughter. And, you have to always ask, why is someone fighting? Why do you fight? Why? And oftentimes
he has that classic story.
Yeah, man. He's in deep, he fights for very, very deep reasons. And right now he's got everything to prove. And he's got a mission in that he wants to bring that belt back to his daughter and lay it on her resting place. And God bless him and God bless his daughter in heaven. And, that he has that passion and that fire to come to the table and come into the squared circle and face off against arguably one of the greatest fighters of this generation. It's a tall order. And, the true measure of a great man is to see someone like Caleb Plant, defying what everybody's saying, and stepping up to the plate to take the ultimate challenge. That's what makes great champions. That's what champions are about. Champions do, it's like, people wonder why I'm so pro Teofimo Lopez. And one of the reasons I'm pro Teofimo Lopez is the same reason. This guy he steps up and he fought, Vasily Lomachenko at Vasily Lomachenko's best. He comes to the table at 15-0 and he faces arguably the best fighter of our generation as well. Another one that could be on the pound for pound list of the greatest fighters of our time. And he faces him against all odds. He's supposed to lose the fight and he wins. And that's what great champions do. So Caleb Plant has that in him. He has that desire and he has the skill sets. The question is, what does he bring on that night?
Yeah, there's a lot of thought on Caleb Plant's side that said, yes, Alvarez has all this wonderful history and names on his resume and years of boxing and box office cachet and all of that. But the bottom line is Plant just has to win more rounds than Canelo, and he wins the fight. History can't fight for Canelo. Who he's fought in the past can't fight Canelo. That night, he just has to win more rounds than Canelo does. And if you look at it simply like that, it's even on either side of the fence.
Yeah.
Because you never know who can rise up and just be surreal that night.
Well said, my friend Harold Hunt. Well, friend, professional. I mean, listen, well said. Okay, that was. I think we should just kind of leave it right where it is. This fight, Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant, takes place on Saturday, November 6th, on Showtime pay-per-view at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Don't miss the fight. It is for the WBC, WBA, WBO, IBF super middleweight title of the world. This is a world title, so you will not want to miss this fight. Okay? I can't say enough about it. And Harold, we just got a message that says, what does Plant need to do to win? Can Plant win a majority decision? This is a message that comes from Rafael Velasco Jr. On YouTube. Do you want to answer that?
I would love to comment.
Yeah, man.
Well, my estimation would be simply he would have to just keep Canelo on the outside and score enough punches where the judges can see who is scoring the punches. And when he does get hit by Canelo, it doesn't shake him. It doesn't move him. It doesn't make him move outside of what he's trying to do.
Right.
So if he can win the rounds on landing punches in the scoring area, and when he does get hit, he's not shook by that. If he can continue that round after round, he could win on points. Also, as the rounds go on, if he could deliver some nice straight punches that actually make Canelo pay attention, posture, pout at him, whatever, that resonates with judges. Being a judge myself, you tend to act out when you're hit. So that just verifies that you just got hit, because you say, oh, that's nothing, come on. You did get hit. And as a judge, you understand that that is a clean punch because he reacted thusly. So that's how I see him doing it. If he can take the punch, keep him on the outside, it'll be a chase all night. And Canelo cannot, if he can't catch him, he could possibly lose on points.
Wow. Very, very, very well said. And certainly you open up my thought process to say, wow, can Caleb Plant, can he stick and move all night and win some of those early rounds, right? And get himself in a position where his speed can actually, come into play later on in the fight. Yeah, there's a scenario that you just kind of laid out that would be that, Caleb Plant sticks and moves, and banks a lot of those rounds. He doesn't have to win all those rounds, right? It's a 12 round fight. So, really he's got to win, seven of those rounds. And if he wins the seven of the rounds, he wins the fight.
He wins the fight.
So
that's a simple math.
Yeah, simple math, right? It's about as simple of a math equation as it gets. But, the question goes, but does it go the distance? Do you think this is an early knockout? Do you think that Caleb Plant takes Canelo later in the rounds when Canelo slows down? Does Canelo come on later in the fight, brings his power later in the second half of the fight, to really overwhelm and dominate Caleb Plant? I don't know. The question is, what do you think?
Well, as we've seen, Canelo necessarily doesn't gas out. From what we've seen,
right?
He has never gassed out, and once he gets you hurt, he's pretty vicious with the closing. He'll close it,
right?
And Canelo will hurt you early in the round, leaving 2 minutes to finish you off,
right?
And he will do so. He's not one, or from what I've seen, to hurt you the last minute, the last 30 seconds, and then in a rush to finish you. He tends to hurt them early and then finish them within that round itself. So he's not looking, from what I can gather, he's not looking to land something at the end or in the middle. Surprising. He wants to put that on you initially and then just push you on out the way, and close you out. So if he sees that the plant is vulnerable in any sense, he'll try to apply that pressure early in the round. If he gets some buzzing, gets some moving, I believe he'll go ahead and stop it. But if he's chasing all night, Mark, he's trying to get him in the pocket, trying to corner him, trying to cut that ring up, and he just can't do it because that jab is coming. The footwork, he's getting out the way. He's hitting to the body, to the head, and he's getting out the way. If he's chasing all night, I'd like to go back to older fights like the Leonard Hagler fight.
Right.
Hagler was chasing all night long.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's a great illustration. So yeah, man, I think we've got this one pegged. Do you have a prediction? You are not judging, Harold Hunt. You are not judging the fight right now. So you are totally able. You are not going to be at the fight. You are not judging the fight. You have no conflict of interest. You can basically tell me who you think is going to win. And if you're listening out there, please, write down below, put your comments. If you are listening right now live with us, please make sure you tell us down below. All right. If you're listening on a rebroadcast, let us know. Who do you think is going to win the fight? Give me your prediction. Caleb Plant or Canelo Alvarez?
A lot of people try to answer questions and say, if this happens, if that happens, I'm going to throw it out. I'm just going to be cut and dry, black and white.
That's what's
so
up.
I'm not going to add any stipulations. If this happens to this person, if that happens. No, people don't want to hear me beating around the bush. So, Canelo.
Where? When? How many rounds? How long? What round?
7.
Okay, Canelo in 7. Canelo in 7 by what?
TKO.
Okay, Canelo in 7.
The ref is going to wave it off.
See,
the ref is going to wave it off.
See, I pulled this out of you tonight. I am so impressed with you, Harold Hunt. I am so impressed that you...
I'm not going to get another job.
Dude, I am so impressed. Listen, I am so impressed that you made a prediction, everyone, okay? Listen, you don't understand. You are Harold...
Politically correct all the time. Yeah,
and for those of you that are listening in, you got to understand Harold is the most objective, straddle the fence guy because he's a professional boxing judge, right? So he has to be kind of, reserved and really demure about everything. And so this is what I'm going to do. Harold Hunt, you deserve a round of applause, bro. You deserve a round of applause, right? Maybe some fanfare. You're awesome, bro. I
compromised my morals, Mark, for the show.
You did not compromise any sense of moral. That is not the case. Okay.
Okay, Mark, your turn.
Okay.
Your turn.
All right, my turn. I think I'm gonna go Canelo Alvarez late stoppage 9 or 10. I'll say 10. Late stoppage, Canelo Alvarez, 10 rounds of pain and suffering. That's my prediction. I don't mean any ill will. I'm not counting you out, Caleb Plant, because I understand what it is that you can do to make this happen for yourself. And I sure hope you do that. I hope you do everything possible to win this fight. And hopefully by listening to this podcast, you can kind of see, Caleb Plant, what we think you should be watching out for. And I'm sure you already know that because this is what you've been doing your whole life and you've been training. But you know that we're right. You know that what we're saying is absolutely right here, that these are the things that are going to happen. You know that in this fight, these are the things you're going to have to watch out for. So if you can sticky move, if you can make this thing happen for yourself, and listen, I will. We're gonna do a post Caleb Plant. We're gonna talk about you and the post anyway, and it would be great to be able to talk about that kind of triumphant victory over arguably one of the best fighters in the world today. Certainly the biggest box office draw in boxing right now is Saul Canelo Alvarez. So congratulations on getting the fight. It's going to be the biggest payday of your entire life. And I wish it were me, but congratulations, because you deserve it and you are an amazing fighter, and Godspeed to you, more power to you. Get out there, do your work, and may the best man win. That's all I can say.
Now, you were extremely diplomatic. You wasn't cut and dried or anything. That's usually my stick right there. But I will go ahead and leave it where it is, because my mind is swirling with what ifs and this and that. But that's how I see it. I see, the fifth round starting to become a situation where there may be some pressure applied that may not be able to be thwarted. So
right.
I have 7, you have 9. We'll go from there. So what's next, Mark?
Yeah, man. So what I'd love to do is I'd love to switch gears a little bit and catch up on some of the post-Fallout fight news between Tyson Fury and Wilder. It's really not Tyson Fury and Wilder. It's more like Wilder, right? So why don't you, let's talk a little bit about that. Have you been following the headlines?
Yes. There's quite a bit going on with that. And something happened today that was yesterday happened interesting also on that. He released a press piece stating that, he was happy to be in the ring with Tyson. Tyson is a great fighter. He appreciated the opportunity to make history with him. Their fight supposedly is lined up with the Thrill of Manila as far as action is concerned. I'm sure our listeners and watchers enjoyed that fight. Something that whenever it comes on, you're going to want to watch it, just as you do some of the other classic fights. So they've reached that situation. And he talked about how he necessarily didn't want to just give in at the time. He was knocked out. He just wasn't ready to do that. If you think about it, what other sport makes you speak clearly and give estimation of your performance immediately after you perform? I mean, baseball and football and basketball. However, you just was hit in your head several times for at least 40, 50 minutes. And then as soon as the fight is over, you have to get in front of a mic and you have to talk about the fight. So not only are your brain is a little shattered, your body or what have you, it's hard to articulate that. And I've always thought that was great that boxers could do that, because LeBron James, those other guys, they're not getting beat up and all that, and they can kind of gather their thoughts mentally. So at the time, he had given everything, and he suffered a pretty serious knockout, the way he hit the floor and what have you.
Oh, yeah.
So he wasn't necessarily applicable. Now, he did leave the ring, but he left the ring because they wanted to get him to the hospital. Now, if that's an excuse, that's fine, because that's what happened. He did go to the hospital, and they rushed him right out of the ring. But Tyson did come over to him and ask him, good fight, and he rebuffed him. So he apologized for that. He said that wasn't how he felt.
Right. And
going forward. Now, the other piece of it that's interesting that happened a couple of days ago, he's ranked number 1 by the WBC.
Mm.
He lost 2 fights in a row, but he's still ranked.
He's ranked number 1 by the WBC.
Yes, number 1 by the WBC.
Yeah,
I misspoke. And I heard what Mr. Suleiman said, the president of the WBC. He said his overall body of work still gives him opportunity to be number 1, because in his mind and other people's mind, no one else is going to beat Wilder.
Right.
And no one else is going to beat Fury. So Fury is 1, and Wilder is absolutely number 2, because he will, in fact, in the minds of most people, beat all the other heavyweights that are out there now.
Right. Well, that's an interesting play. I mean, I think, yeah, the WBC has Deontay Wilder as number one. The WBA has Daniel Dubois as number one. And I don't think they have identified for the IBF who's number one. And then I think in the WBO, it's Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk is number one. So yeah, I mean, that's I don't know if they're trying to set him up for a fight with Joshua. I think that's probably on the table. Charles Martin is sitting as number two for the IBF against Alexander Usyk, who's the IBF current belt holder. And then in the WBA, you've got Alexander Usyk, Manuel Char, and Trevor Bryan. And then in the WBC, you've got Tyson Fury and Dillian White. So the heavyweight landscape definitely is filling out.
Yes, it is. Now, there's some other news with another fighter. If you want to touch on that, we can do that.
Yeah, sure.
We've got Mr. Joshua shopping for a trainer. He has visited the camp of Virgil Hunter, Eddie Reynoso, Ronnie Shields, and between the three, he had 2 meetings with Ronnie Shields, and he had one with the other two. Ronnie Shields worked pads with him yesterday. I don't know if he could work pads with Reynoso or Mr. Hunter. That hasn't been documented.
Right.
If you look at the records of those trainers, Reynoso, they don't necessarily have a heavyweight other than Andy Ruiz. So that's not necessarily their forte as heavyweights.
Right.
They do have Ruiz, and they are working with him. Virgil Hunter, he does well with heavyweights also. Virgil Hunter, his demeanor is very professor-like.
Virgil Hunter is a quality trainer, bro. Virgil Hunter is a mastermind. I enjoy his work. He's a very, very talented boxing trainer, underrated as far as, you always hear about Eddie Reynoso. You don't always hear about Virgil Hunter. Diehards know about Virgil Hunter. If you know about boxing and you know about good trainers and why a trainer's good, Virgil Hunter's got the package. Yes,
no doubt. I look at Joshua's personality and his demeanor, and I'm not saying he wouldn't be a good fit for him.
Right.
I think Shields or Reynoso will be a situation where his personality will be augmented some, because he needs someone who's really going to discount who he is, what he is, and make him fight to his potential. I'm not saying Virgil Hunter could not do that. I just think Shields has a more of a biting type style. And I think Reynoso has more of a biting type style. But if I was a fighter with my demeanor and other fighters that I know, that I would go to Hunter, because I'm going, I'm cerebral like that, or other fighters are, and he would be the best fighter for me. But if I'm fighting outside of myself, I'm not fighting as I should, I would go to someone who could really, truly push me and get on that edge of upsetting me by motivation. So that's just how I see it. Nothing against Hunter, because he has an excellent record, excellent fighters. Some people like Cadillac, some people like Mercedes-Benz. They get you where you got to get to. There's just different ways of getting there. And
so
I think
okay. Well,
Shields would be a better fit at this time, in my estimation.
Yeah, I mean, this is a complicated conversation because, I have mixed feelings about all that, right? I have mixed feelings about him leaving his trainers that he grew up with, that he's been training with for obvious reasons, because that's how I don't see that works, right? I think that that's a way out. It's a way out to escape what happened in the past and trying to move forward, trying to mix up the camp, try to get some, put some new life into your career, right? So I think with Joshua though, but also I'm just speaking in narrative, Harold. I'm just speaking out loud in narrative. I think you also have a thing with Anthony Joshua where he's a super talented human being, but I think as far as his boxing skills are concerned, we've really seen the best of him, and we've seen the worst of him, and we understand that he's lacking in boxing skill. He's really lacking in boxing skill. So if you agree that that's the case, and I don't know that you agree with me on that, but if you do agree with me that he's lacking boxing skill, then the question has to come, who would be the right trainer to give him the skills that he needs in the time that he has to do the job he has to do? That is a complicated question because, his record is 24 wins, 2 losses, and one of his losses have come by knockout. And 22 of his wins have come by KO. So the guy's got major power in his hands. I think that comes out to like almost a 90, maybe like 85% KO ratio, right? So if he's got like an 85% KO ratio, he's got power. He can end people's, night very quickly. The thing is when you step up to the top 4 guys, 5 guys, 6 guys in the heavyweight division, do you have the skills to hold that belt? Not to get the belt. Lots of fighters, heavyweight fighters, have been able to get the belt. It's holding the belt. Holding the belts, right? Holding all the belts are...
Ruiz, Buster Douglas.
Right, exactly. You could go on and on with all the heavyweight division is littered with fighters that had the belt and lost the belt. The question here is, does Anthony Joshua want to be the fighter that holds all the belts and cleans out the heavyweight division? Is that his renewed direction and goal? If that's his renewed direction and goal, then the question becomes clearer what trainer could get him there? What trainer can get him there? If you're listening in, put your comments down below. If you are watching on YouTube, if you are listening in Apple Podcast, then obviously you can't add your comments down below, but feel free to join us on YouTube, or if you're driving around in your car and you just want to listen to us talk about boxing, hit us up on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. We're everywhere you want to be as far as boxing is concerned, and we would really appreciate you sharing our podcast. We want to grow it, and we'd love to have you on if you have show ideas or thoughts about fighters that want to join us on the program. Please, just hit us with an email. You can send us an email at roxysportsentertainment@gmail.com, and we will be sure to schedule a time when we can get you on the podcast. You don't have to agree with us. We'd love it if you didn't. It'd be fine, but we'd love to have you on if you are a professional fighter out there and you'd like to come on and put your stamp on the Boxing Breakdown. We'd love to have you on the program as well. So back to what we were talking about.
Well, you do feel some kind of way because you're a trainer.
I feel some kind of way because Anthony Joshua is talented, and to watch that talent potentially disappear from the face of the boxing universe is kind of sad for me, right? Because he's at a precipice right now. He's at a point in his career, Harold, where the choice that he makes to pick this next trainer and where he goes and what he does is going to determine where he goes and what he does. And it's a big deal.
Mark, if you were chosen and that is against your thing, you think he should stay with his current trainer and get a different game plan. But if he was to come to you and say, I got to get these belts back, I have this rematch clause, they're there for my taking the get back so I can clean out the division, as you said. What would you do initially to get him those belts back?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, some of the things that I would do is I'd improve on his punch combinations. I'd improve on his speed. I make sure that he has much better defense than he has. We'd start right there. I'd start working on his defense on day one. Secondly, I start working on punch combinations that actually make sense and get his hand speed moving properly and getting him moving in and out, keeping the distance when he tries to maintain distance against other heavyweights that are pressing forward. He's up high. He doesn't know how to use the low position. So I'd be fixing some of that. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to fix. Okay. There's a lot to fix but what he does have is a tremendous amount of power, but to face the likes of, you have to look at who's in the division right now in the next 5 years. And you have to know what these guys can do in order to figure out what weapons you're going to need to develop in your guy, right? To face these weapons. Because you can't fix everything in one night. So you have to think, like if he's facing a Deontay Wilder, there's certain things he needs for the Deontay Wilder fight. Those are the things that I would work on. The things that he's going to need for the Tyson Fury fight are different. Dillian White fight, different. Oh my gosh, Alexander Usyk rematch, like what he would need for that fight. So
and that would be what you said earlier.
Exactly.
Defense.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Usyk will give him the rematch. Yeah. Oh my God, you can't fight Usyk, who's really comes from 140-pound weight class. He's fought at 140 pounds when he was a kid. When he was younger, So this is a guy who's moving up in weight, who's got the recipe because he's a smaller guy like Andy Ruiz, who's a smaller guy fighting a bigger guy. The bigger guy's slower, the smaller guy's faster, and he has knockout power. You can't knock somebody out more. You don't need that much power to knock someone out. You just need accuracy and punch placement, et cetera, et cetera. So these smaller guys that are going up understand that. They understand what they're going to need to get the job done. And they have what it takes because they have the dexterity, they have the movement, they have the angles, they have the rhythm, the timing, the distance, the speed. They know how to close the distance. They have good, solid defense. So what does a big Oompa Loompa do to fight that off? If all you've got is 2 feet to stand on, you can't do it. That's why Tyson Fury is so special, because Tyson Fury can box. He actually knows how to box. He's up on his toes. He's going in and out. He's feinting. He's jabbing. He's moving his head. He's slipping and rolling shots, catching, shoulder rolling. He's doing everything that a smaller fighter does. So what I'm saying is that there's some learning here that needs to take place for Anthony Joshua to now compete with the guys that are up here because they've got his number now. All you got to do is watch the Usyk fight, and you can pick 4 guys that are in this heavyweight division. Out of the 15, you could probably pick 5 of them that have the skill sets to go up against Anthony Joshua right now and could probably get the job done if he doesn't continue to develop. I mean, I don't know. I'm saying what I'm saying. It's just an opinion. Everybody's got one. Y'all know that. I'm just sharing with you that I think Anthony Joshua, the most important thing now is for him to pick the right trainer that can really produce the results that he needs to be a more complete fighter. A more complete fighter than what he is.
He needs a fire lit underneath him.
Yeah, I would think so. You know, it's I don't know if it's a fire. I don't know what he needs because I don't really know. I'm not in his camp, so I don't really know what it is that I mean, the question could also be, what does Deontay Wilder need? Right? I mean, it's not because they lose. I mean, Deontay Wilder's fight was one of the best fights I've seen, and you know, like I said, and I've said this a multitude of times, Deontay Wilder has nothing to be ashamed of in that fight, in that performance, because that was a quality performance. It's just that he got caught. Somebody was going down. Someone was going to get caught. Someone was going to not make it out of the fight. That's how that was going to go. That's like, you know, two guys go into a building, right? That's what that is. Two guys go into the building. One of them's not coming out. And that's just the way it is. So, you know, I think with Anthony Joshua, I see that as being slightly different because I see that there's so much more skill that he could learn. There's so many things he could learn that would allow him to be a more complete fighter and allow him to compete at the level that he's at. You know, they've done a great job with him, with moving him. You know, he's had tremendous opportunity. Success and opportunity. I mean, he fought, and he's fought and KO'd 22 of his 24 opponents. And the only time he ever lost is because he got, you know, I mean, one was a unanimous decision loss against Usyk, and the other one was a TKO in the 7th round against, guess who? Anthony Ruiz.
As he was attacking. He wasn't beat down.
Exactly. So you can see there's a theme here. Smaller guy coming up, got the speed, but also has the knockout power. That's the recipe. So we got to fix that. Anthony Joshua's got to fix that. You see? He's got to learn how to deal with that. He's got to learn how to fight those two, the only two losses, blemishes he has on his record. And by the way, Anthony Joshua has a lot more fight in him. If he has a lot more fight in him. He, you know, the two losses mean nothing in this heavyweight division. My gosh. You know?
Okay, Mark, out of those three I named, who do you think that can apply that? I would like for him to talk to Teddy Atlas also. But out of those three, Reynoso, Shields, Hunter, we know that he visited those three. You still have Derek James. He hasn't visited him. And you still have Atlas. But we know those three. So let's just look at those three. In your estimation, the things that you needed, that he needs to be successful, who can apply those things to him, in your opinion?
Oh boy. Wow. That's a complicated, man. Yeah, there's some good trainers there. My first inclination is Eddie Reynoso.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, you know, if he goes to that camp, that's going to preclude him and the other heavyweight in the camp. They're not going to fight. They're not going to fight.
Andy Ruiz.
Yes. Yeah. That politically, that will not work. That will not work because he's already training.
No, but
if you throw all that out, yes, I shouldn't have brought in the political part. But yes, I think for one fight to get him back the belt, I think Shields can put together a plan to get that belt back. I don't think he should stay with Shields, but for this one fight, I think they can put together a game plan to get the belts back, and then he'll go back with his regular trainer. I think it's a one-off deal.
Yeah.
With Shields.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, like I said, my answer is pure because I'm coming from the perspective of what Anthony Joshua would need, who could provide him the skills that are necessary to compete at that level and give him the dexterity and the movement like Andy Ruiz has and some of the punch combinations, some of the body work. I mean, listen, he's never going to be in a better condition than when he goes to the Reynoso camp. I can tell you that right now. Those boys don't play. So he's definitely going to get the work. as long as he's willing to put the work in. The question is like, I mean, again, like I don't want to say that Teddy Atlas is a bad choice either. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if Teddy Atlas would be interested in that work, but that's a question for Teddy Atlas, the Teddy, do you want that work? I mean, is that something that you think you can actually get Anthony Joshua? I'd like to have you on the broadcast and ask you the question personally. Like, do you think that you could take Anthony Joshua and what is it that he needs? What do you think he needs? I think he needs, an increased level of dexterity, punch combinations. I think he needs to have a much, much more responsible defense. And he needs to, learn how to deal with some of these guys that manage to get in his wheelhouse, and until he can do that, and his jab, the jab, number one for that, like he needs like a Larry Holmes jab. I mean, could you imagine Anthony Joshua with a Larry Holmes jab and a Mike Tyson body shot? Mike Tyson uppercut. I mean, could you just say, okay, look, this is what we need. These are the skill sets we want. And a James Toney stick and move, defense.
You'd have a super fighter, man. Dude, that jab was a monster.
Yeah, man, but he's got to be studying those films. He's got to be looking at what made those guys great. What made, Mike Tyson great. I mean, the rhythm Anthony Joshua moves at a completely different rhythm than Mike Tyson, and I get it because they're completely different in height. I mean, they're like David and Goliath, but the bottom line is that you gotta look at that kind of stuff because the guys that are in the heavyweight division are, they're coming. So for you to retain the title, get the title back, and stay in contention, I mean, Joshua, I don't see him in the rankings. The rankings I'm looking at anyway, I don't see him in the rankings. So I see Deontay Wilder in the rankings, but I don't see Joshua, except he's got the WBO. So it's great to have the WBO, and somebody's coming for that. Obviously, I don't know. These are old rankings, aren't they? Yeah, those are old rankings. So Usyk has the IBF. Yeah.
Well, that is going to be something we have to see going forward, who he chooses and if they can be effective.
Well, he's actually, I misspoke because he is kind of, I think I'm just looking at these other rankings here. He is ranked up there in like 5. He's kind of like around 5 or respectively 5 or 4, 5 or 6. WBC has him ranked. No, WBC doesn't have him ranked. WBA has him ranked as number 5. IBF has him ranked at number 5. And of course, he's the WBO right here. So, yeah, man, I don't know. That's my take on Anthony Joshua. We've spent entirely too much time on Anthony Joshua. They're great guys, but there's other stuff to talk about. I suppose we can just chop up real quickly. The Mikey Garcia upset, man. Did you get a chance to see that?
Yeah, that was a situation where Mikey's timing was just off. Because he had been on the ring so long. He was aggressive the entire fight. However, his opponent kept catching him coming in. And from being a judge, he was just scoring too many points with that. He was fighting off the back foot, and he was just it was too clean. It was too clean. His counter punching and his movement was just too clean. It was you couldn't deny it as a judge. He won on points. He didn't hurt Mikey or anything. Mikey was aggressive the whole way. He just simply didn't have the rhythm or the timing not to get hit with those clean exit punches. And that's all it was from my standpoint, the bottom line. So there is a rematch clause, and Mikey is going to fight him. and we'll have to go from there. But he says it's no big deal.
Wait.
He'll rebound from it, and he'll move forward.
Did you say there was a rematch clause?
Yeah, they're trying. It wasn't signed for a rematch clause. It wasn't in the contract, but they're trying to get a rematch, and they're going to make the money available so he can take the other fight. The wordage on the contract, there was no rematch because it was just a walkover fight but since he lost, it can be renegotiated, and it's not as such as a rematch on paper, but it will be a rematch because the money will be offered, and he will take the fight at that number, and Garcia will get the opportunity to reposition himself.
Well, so, okay, let's break this down. So Mikey Garcia fought a guy named Sandor Martin. He fought him on Saturday, October 16th, 2021. He fought him in Fresno, California. It was a welterweight contest for 10 rounds. It was a 10-round welterweight contest. And I believe the scorecards were 93-97, 93-97, and 95-95. Right? So a guy judged by the name of Zachary Young scored at 95-95. Fernando Villarreal was 93-97, and Carla Klatz, I think it is 93-97. So yeah, man, it was you're looking at two fighters that have similar records, by the way. Mikey Garcia was 40 wins and 1 loss, with 30 wins coming by way of KO. And then this guy, Sandor Martin, who was by and large to American fans, he was a southpaw, 5'7", 5'7", so very similar to Mikey's build and stature. And there was no, I mean, he was a little younger, so he was 28. Mikey Garcia's 33. And his record was 38-2 with 0 draws and only 13 knockouts. So I think on paper, man, Harold, on paper, this is the kind of fight as a trainer you'd sign off on. You'd go, okay, this guy doesn't have any knockouts. Our guy's going to win. You know, a typical trainer is going to be like, look at the record and go, what? Oh, and he's a kickboxer. Oh, he did some mixed martial arts. Oh, he's not. Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll take that fight. And then he'll jump in the ring and he'll, fight. And of course the fight will go the way you expect it to go. Right. So I don't know what Mikey Garcia was looking at, but Mikey Garcia was getting caught on the way in the whole fight. I think the first 3 rounds, this guy Sandor was, he was nervous. Like, he looked a little jittery and a little unsure about how he was going to win this fight. I'm in with Mikey Garcia. This is a guy, 4-belt champion. And what am I doing here? But by the 3rd round, he really got it, Harold. He really figured out, I belong here. I can do this. And his confidence kept building and building. And, we talked about the Caleb Plant fight earlier. This is an example of where, stick and move really does work. It really did work against a puncher, against a very, very serious knockout puncher who has, a great knockout percentage, So, yeah, I think everybody was shocked. I think that Robert Garcia was shocked, his trainer, Mikey Garcia's trainer. And I think everybody that was watching was kind of like, what am I watching? What's going on here? How's this happening?
Well, I could see it.
Yeah. And Mikey Garcia really needed that win, man. He really needed that win to kind of catapult him back where he so righteously belongs, and it's just really unfortunate that happened the way it happened.
Well, I could see his timing was off, and he just couldn't get to the timing.
What do you think that was about? You think it was a ring rust?
He didn't make the weight either, Mark. He didn't make the weight. He went to 145. See, so that showed lack of discipline to me.
Yeah.
He was off 2.5 years. He didn't have his timing. He came in heavy. He figured he could just walk over this guy.
Right.
He made a lot of mistakes himself going into the ring. He didn't take it seriously.
No, and listen.
That's how I see it. I'm not giving him a pass. I'm not.
Right. And I respect that, Harold. I respect that. I understand that.
He lost.
Yeah, man. And
because he didn't prepare, and he just didn't do that.
Yeah.
Now because of his cachet, he gets to backpedal. He gets to pay the guy off to fight him again. And he'll have a different set of situations, different judges, different referees, and he'll win the fight. But the point is, he came in unprepared.
I have nothing to say about it. I can't disagree with anything you're saying. I'm sure that Robert Garcia and anybody in his camp would. If you saw the dressing room at the end of the fight, there was utter silence. It was deafening. It was sad.
He is the captain of that ship. Garcia may run the gym, they may do this or whatever. He's still the captain of the ship, and the captain didn't do it. Yeah. Usually Garcia, the brother, has the final say or whatever. But this time, just the way it looked, that's what I saw.
Yeah,
that's what I saw.
And this guy,
some situation where, and Mikey doesn't really want to fight. He's not really. I mean, he said on several occasions, "I boxed because my family boxed. It wasn't really what I wanted to do, but it was in my DNA and my family, my father, and I want to continue the legacy. But it's not necessarily my favorite thing."
Yeah.
And he has said that. You have seen those clips.
Yeah.
So it showed up this time.
Yeah. No.
But he'll rebound. He'll use his cachet. He got rich off the fight with Spence.
Oh, yeah. That he lost, by the way. He lost.
He made enough money to be complacent. Yes, he had cars, houses, and this, that, and the other. But on that fight, he made enough money where he started to be complacent.
Yeah.
Because when he owns a marijuana oil company, and he owns this and that and this and that he's garnered over these past 2 years. So
good for him.
Yes, good for him.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that hunger, he didn't show it. He didn't show it.
Yeah, I think when a fighter doesn't have that hunger any longer, I think the best thing to do is to help them understand that it's probably time to retire. If you're not hungry for this is a very long road. It's just a hard way to make a living if you are not hungry. If this is not your passion, especially if you have a lot of businesses, it's like, hey, if you got a lot of businesses and you're doing really well, you probably have children, et cetera, et cetera. If this is the beginning of Mikey Garcia, he has nothing to be ashamed for. He's a world champion. He is the champ.
Time.
He is the champ. Exactly. And
world champion.
Yeah. And sometimes you just, if that was like, hey, let me just put this message out, I'm done, and let him be done. And he could ride off into the sunset on his beautiful Palomino horse and, or paint or whatever kind of horses he has. I do think he is a cowboy as well, and he loves horses. So, live it up, man. But don't put yourself through it if in fact it's not really what you want to do. That's my take. And I've loved watching him box. I think he's a phenomenal fighter. But I think you're right. You got to show up to the show and deliver the goods. And if you can't show up to the show and deliver the goods, then maybe there's something else you can do.
How that works out for him.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. And he's got a great team and a great camp. You can't ask for a better team and a better camp. He's got a wonderful camp. We actually we faced off against one of his guys at Top Rank at the MGM Grand. I was part of a team that with Jonathan Rodriguez, and we actually fought one of his guys, and it was an exhilarating experience. It was a great night, So that being said, Harold, man, I think we have hit the note. We have done it. We have covered everything that the Boxing Breakdown needed to cover. I think we got it all, brother. You know?
Yes. Your perspective tonight was strong with you tonight. Your trained perspective was very strong tonight, and I appreciate that because that just educates us all.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for the compliments, and likewise, it's always amazing to be with all of you out there on the Boxing Breakdown, all the fans and listeners, and thank you for joining us tonight on Apple Podcast, and thank you for being with us on YouTube, and for sharing your comments and sharing the podcast however you can. Don't forget to hit the like, notifications, and subscribe button if you're on YouTube. And we have just really, we make this a weekly podcast. We're here regularly because we want to be with you and share with you our passion and love for boxing and our knowledge in and around the sport, and also just to be really paying a service out there to the fighters and helping to educate them and also promote them and really bring the beautiful face of boxing out there to the world so that the fans can really see a beautiful side of the sport. It is an amazing sport, and we thank you for being with us. Until next time, on behalf of my partner in crime, Mr. Harold Hunt, I am Mark Roxey. This is the Boxing Breakdown, and we are out. We will see you next time on the next edition of the Boxing Breakdown. Harold, peace.
Goodbye.
Fight fans, join host Mark Roxey and special guests as they break down all aspects of the boxing world, including news, business, management, training, promotions, fan reactions, upcoming events, matchups, future boxing stars, title fights, state of the boxing world, and all the stuff you don't see when you watch boxing. This podcast is released each week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live streamed on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook Live. It's the Boxing Breakdown, hosted by Mark Roxey.